You know that feeling, right? You create an absolutely stunning AI portrait. You think you found the magic formula, and then you try to use that same prompt for a logo, and you just get, well, a complete mess. Okay, let's dive into this because today we're going to move you from random luck to reliable, amazing results by learning 5 super simple patterns that will totally change how you create AI images.
It's such a common problem. It happens to everyone. You think you finally cracked the code with a great prompt structure, but then you try to apply it to a different kind of image, and it's like the AI just doesn't understand you anymore. So, what is going on here?
And this right here illustrates the issue perfectly. On the left, you've got this beautiful cinematic portrait. The prompt did exactly what it was supposed to. But on the right, using a similar, detailed approach for a logo gives you this chaotic, totally unusable thing. The big takeaway here is one size does not fit all.
So, what's the secret? Well, it's not about finding one perfect magic spell of a prompt. Let's start with a new way of thinking. Think like a chef. I mean, you wouldn't use a cake recipe to roast a chicken, would you? The exact same logic applies here. What we need is a cookbook with different recipes for different kinds of images.
And that brings us to the key concept for today, the prompt pattern. Just think of it like a simple fill-in-the-blank recipe. Each pattern is specifically designed for one type of image, which takes all the guesswork out of it and gives you consistent, professional-looking results every single time. All right, let's open up our cookbook and dive into recipe number 1, the perfect portrait. This is going to be your go-to formula for capturing absolutely incredible character shots time after time. The formula itself is just beautiful in its simplicity. First, you just state the portrait type. Is it a headshot, a full body shot? Then you describe your person. You follow that with the background, then the lighting style, and finally, the level of realism you're aiming for. It's just a logical flow that gives the AI directions in an order it can actually follow. And check this out. Here's that formula in action. Professional headshot, that's our type. Then we've got our person description, the plain gray studio background, the soft diffused lighting, and boom, realistic photo, sharp focus for quality. See? Simple. And this pattern is not just for boring corporate headshots. You can use the exact same structure to get super creative. A fantasy portrait of a space pirate? No problem at all. We just swap out the ingredients, the person, the background, the lighting, but the recipe, the core structure, it stays the same.
Okay, next recipe up. Let's say you're not creating characters. You need crisp, clean images for a website or an e-commerce store. This is your formula for the perfect product shot.
You'll notice this formula is even more streamlined. You start by telling the AI the genre, with the words product photo. That immediately gets its head in the right space. Then you describe your item, and this is crucial, the background. On a white background is a classic for a reason. It tells the AI to isolate the subject, just like a real photographer would. Finish with lighting and quality, and you're golden. And here's what that looks like in practice. A product photo of a black wireless mouse. You see those key phrases? Pure white background, and soft studio lighting. This prompt is literally speaking the language of e-commerce photography, which is exactly what signals the AI to generate a clean, commercial-style image. And just like with our portraits, this pattern is fantastic for getting creative and having some fun. A toaster that looks like a spaceship? Absolutely. By combining a totally wild subject with the standard professional language of a product shot, you can create these believable images of completely imaginary products. It's so cool. Okay, let's speed things up a bit. We're going to cover a trio of really powerful recipes now, all for design and world building, creating user interfaces, logos, and epic concept art. Now, these require a very different approach from photos, so let's break them down. This table lays out the core ingredients for each. So for a UI mockup, you have to think like a designer. You use keywords like flat minimal design and clean layout to tell the AI to avoid photographic detail and focus on usability. For a logo, simplicity is absolutely everything. Using phrases like minimalist logo and flat vector style tells the AI to create something clean and iconic, not a tiny painting. And for concept art, you want to evoke scale and atmosphere. So you use terms like environment concept art and wide shot to get that grand cinematic feeling you see in movies and games. Of course, even the best chefs make mistakes in the kitchen. Now that we have our recipes, let's look at a couple of super common ways prompts can go wrong so you can just avoid them completely. First up, trying to use portrait details for a user interface. So the prompt on the left is asking for cinematic lighting and ultra detail, which is great for a portrait, but absolutely terrible for a UI. The better prompt on the right uses design language, UI mockup, flat minimal, clean. So here's the rule: match your additives to the genre. The second huge mistake is putting way too much detail into a logo. Remember, a logo has to be simple and iconic. The prompt on the left is asking for a whole complex scene, which is the exact opposite of what a logo should be. The one on the right just nails it by asking for a minimalist logo with simple shapes and flat vector style. Okay, so you've seen the recipes, you know the mistakes to avoid. Now it is your turn to get cooking. The real power here comes from practicing and building your very own personal prompt library. So here's a fun challenge for you. Pick a single subject, anything, like a coffee brand. Then try to use all 5 patterns we learned today to generate everything for it. A portrait of a barista, a product shot of the coffee bag, a UI for a coffee app, a new logo, and even some concept art for a flagship store. And as you go, save the prompts that work. They're now your personal templates. So now you have the master recipes. You can create almost anything you can imagine with some real consistency. But what do you do when you follow the recipe perfectly and the AI still gives you something completely wrong? Well, that is a whole other story and a topic for our next explainer.